Coming up on this episode of XTERRA Adventures, we hit the dirt in Hawaii for the XTERRA Trail Run World Championship. Then, check out the bone-crushing shore break at Waimea Bay. Get a closer look at XTERRA legend Conrad Stoltz. And later, experience the spectacular views of Maui on a paraglider. This is XTERRA Adventures. One of the fastest growing endurance sports around is trail running, and the force behind this growth is XTERRA. The XTERRA World Championship at stunning Kualoa Ranch on Oahu gives runners an exciting alternative to pounding the pavement.
The variety, it's different, it's not boring, and the beauty of running close to nature and within nature is just absolutely awe-inspiring, and it really takes me back to what it is about running that I love.
It's more challenging a lot of the time. Like, the courses are always harder than a road course. You get more out of it.
I just feel it's a good way to get in shape. It's a good way to train. I'm a triathlete, so off-road running and biking is a really good way to train. It builds up speed, endurance, strength, flexibility.
You know, picture yourself on a highway that goes on forever and you're thinking, well, what's changing, man? You know, whereas here, if you don't watch where your feet are going, you're going to do a face plant or end up hugging a tree or finding yourself swimming in a stream all of a sudden. And yeah, just a challenge. Yeah, I love going downhill at 90 miles an hour and nearly killing myself, you know.
XTERRA's global tour of trail running boasts more than 50 races, spanning the entire globe. The XTERRA Trail Run World Championship is the season's culminating race, a 12-mile trek featuring the best that Mother Nature has to offer.
There are trail runs all over the country that are just awesome, and XTERRA brings them all together, creates some new ones, and gives the people who love trail running, which is almost everyone who runs, you know, a chance to be competitive and get together.
More than 1,000 runners from 35 states and 9 countries came to Kualoa Ranch to battle XTERRA's most challenging yet beautiful course.
The coast is right here, beautiful breaking waves. It's tempting to find a surfboard. And then right from the waves, we're talking vertical mountains, really spectacular with knife edge, you know, ridge lines. You know, in my adventure racing days, we used to spend some time on mountains like this, and be really tempting to try to find a way up there.
I mean, Hawaii is awesome. To be able to come over here, I mean, I'm from Bend, Oregon, and it's I don't know, I think it was 20 degrees there this weekend at a high, and so to be able to come over here and get away from that for even a couple days is it's spectacular, you know. And you can see the valley around. I mean, it's an awesome venue, and it's just beautiful here.
Absolutely gorgeous. I love both the mountain and ocean view as you're running, and it's great to run in the area where lots of great films have been made right here in Kualoa Ranch.
I've always heard Jurassic Park scenes were shot here, and I think I'll try to keep any kind of a T-Rex images out of my mind, unless they help me go faster, but I can see why. It's so pristine.
Woo! You look like you're having fun. I am. It is fun. Can't wait to get muddy though.
As if the undulating course that features 3,000 feet of elevation gain didn't present enough of a challenge, the men's elite field was stacked. The early stages of the race featured a battle between Max King and Ben Bruce of Oregon and Joseph Gray from Washington. The second half of the race was a two-man struggle between King and Gray. In the end, it was Max King who took the victory for the second straight year.
It's an XTERRA course, so you never know what to expect, and the trail today was definitely rocky, the footing was rough, and so it was good. It feels great to be XTERRA World Champion again, and just to be in such a great place and beautiful area just makes it that much more special to me.
You know, this race had everything. The course had some ups, some downs, had some heat. It was warm weather, you know, a lot of mud. It was a great race overall. I really enjoyed it.
The women's pro race was every bit as exciting as the men's. Defending champ Cindy Anderson was back to defend her title, and despite beating last year's time by over 6 minutes, it wasn't enough. Taking the title of XTERRA Trail Run World Champion was New Zealand native and Colorado resident Fiona Doherty.
It feels great to have won this race. I'm just over the moon. What an experience. I do a lot of trails back in Boulder, but this was definitely a tough, honest course, that's for sure. I think the good thing about this was not knowing the actual course, and because it was hard out there.
It was a great field of competitors out there, and it was awesome. I felt stronger this year. It felt hotter and it was muddier, but it was awesome. It seemed to go by faster, so I'm so excited. I'm really happy.
Besides the 12-mile championship course, the day at Kualoa also featured a 3-mile and a 6-mile race. For all athletes who raced at the XTERRA Trail Run World Championship, it was an opportunity to enjoy an adventure on the trails.
It's kind of a cliche, but just one with the trail for a little while, with nobody else around, no other people around, and no buildings, asphalt, you know, stuff like that. It's just you're in nature, you're running with nature, and to be able to do it fast, it just feels that much better.
As I get older, it makes me feel better about myself and makes you feel like you're overcoming something, that you're accomplishing something really, really challenging.
The terrain changes. It's not so monotonous. You're just running on the concrete the whole time. You don't get to see anything beautiful. Not that you're looking around in trail races, but you know, it's more of a challenge. You know, you really, at the end of a hard trail race like this, you're going to be hurting because your body is absorbing a lot of shock from the downhills and the uphills. You know, it gives you something to be good at. You got to be good at a lot of different things. It's really complex, whereas on the road, you just got to be fast. You just got to have speed, and that's it. You know, not really technical, not good at technical terrain or anything like that. So I really like the complexity of trail running.
You see a lot more places. Like, I've seen so much of New Zealand I wouldn't have seen without running off-road, and then get to go to places like Hawaii, so it's always got its good benefits.
The North Shore of Oahu, a majestic coastline battered by huge ocean swells, generated from winter storms in the North Pacific. For surfers, it's the ultimate proving ground. World-famous breaks like the Pipeline provide the perfect arena for big-wave surfers to see if they have what it takes to survive in these treacherous conditions. But when the swells reach 20 feet or higher, the focus narrows to one spot, Waimea Bay. While the surfers wrestle with the pack for their chance of catching a big one, the bodyboarders choose a slightly different path. For them, the ultimate ride is found in the bone-crushing barrels of the Waimea shorebreak.
Waimea, it's the best because it's nuts. I mean, you're out there just pulling into some big barrels. I mean, can't get any better than that.
Pretty exciting, exhilarating. Some of the best waves over here, fat barrels. feeling of getting barreled is just, it's one in a million. Just knowing that you paddle into a wave and you're just totally covered, it's cloud nine, you know, you're in your own little zone, your own little heaven almost. Get away from everything. It's all about getting barreled. That's what it's all about.
Bodyboarders and body surfers love Waimea Shore Break for one reason: huge barreling waves. Tube rides that are so big you can fit a bus into them. But big barrels mean even bigger wipeouts.
Waimea Shore Break, they're the quick, I call them crash and burn kind of waves, the, you know, really short rides. Got to be real choosy on the waves that you pick out there. There are certain days when it's too big, too steep, too radical, maybe a little too much north in it, and your heart is in your throat and you're really thinking about it. You've really got to respect it. You've really got to be careful out there on the days you go out, the waves you take off on, and people die out there.
Here in Hawaii, these waves come from deep water, hit the shallow reef, and they pack a wallop in Waimea Bay, 20-foot and dangerous with strong currents and big bone-breaking waves. It can get really tough out here, really rough.
Good morning to all you beachgoers. We have a high surf advisory in effect. So stay on the dry sand when you see these big sets coming in. Thank you.
When you get on the wave, you have like all your control with your board and everything, but once it closes out, it's just like a washing machine and you get tossed around into the sand, to the rocks, and you're just fighting to get back up actually.
You can get held under here for 2 or 3 waves, and that's when you're pushing the red line. That's when you're praying that, you know, it's going to let up and you're going to swim to the top and everything's going to be okay, you know?
When you crash, it's so powerful. The wave just tumbles you like nothing. Huge, powerful. If you don't know what you're doing, you could easily drown.
There's not much you can do. You just got to go with it, get ragdolled around, thrown around, and, you know, just got to think positive that you are going to pop out from the back. But it's fun, you know, it's kind of like free falling. As long as you know what you're doing, you won't get hurt.
You start talking about the North Shore juice and power, you've really got to be physically fit and mentally prepared for it. There's just so much energy moving around. You better have the basics down really, really well. There's not a whole lot of room for the tricks and the maneuvers. It's more survival type surf out there.
This XTERRA profile is presented by Degree Men Adventure. He's known as the Caveman, and he is one of the greatest endurance athletes of his generation. He is South African Conrad Stoltz. Aside from being a 2-time Olympian and 3-time XTERRA World Champion, Stoltz is a machine and an off-road legend. Now in his mid-30s, the Caveman has no plans of retiring anytime soon.
I'm passionate about XTERRA and I enjoy it very much. It's a great lifestyle, so it's hard to quit. The road is, after so many years of racing, it's not as much fun. You just sit there and you take pain for 2 hours. Where with XTERRA you have to study the course and you have to read the conditions, and every race is so vastly different. It's just basically just each man for himself, and I think all those things make XTERRA really enjoyable, and that's the reason I come back.